U.S. Congressman Francisco Canseco, a Texas congressman, says he was assaulted during a TSA pat-down, and I can't wait to get Lewis's reaction to this one. He says that the security agent went too far during a pat-down earlier this month, saying the agent was very aggressive in the pat-down. He was patting me down where no one is supposed to go. It got very uncomfortable, so I moved his hand away. That stopped everything and brought in supervisors and everyone else. So apparently when Canseco pushed the hand away, the TSA agent indicated he had been assaulted by Canseco. In other words, the act of pushing the hand away was an assault. In the end, neither one of these guys was cited for anything.
Yeah, I think people use the term assault a little too liberally.
Well, maybe he's using using it in the legal sense. A week later, though, here's the interesting part. A week after this incident, when going through San Antonio International Airport, Canseco was once again selected for a pat-down, and he said, "I don't see it as a coincidence. I asked them, why are you going to pat me down again?" So we discussed it further, and after discussing it further, they patted me down. However, before it was over, San Antonio police officers were called to the security checkpoint area. Again, nobody cited. And that's what it is. The TSA saying, hey, we have unpredictable and random security measures throughout the airport. Once you're in the screening process, you have to complete it before continuing anywhere else. So Lewis likes the patting down of people. He's not bothered by it personally.
I never said I liked it. I said I wasn't bothered by it.
You're not, but you like it in the sense that you believe that, for example, if you don't pat down a 6-year-old baby's diaper, terrorists will start actually loading up the diaper with explosives, for example.
I think it's a possibility.
Okay. So do you think the TSA procedures make you feel safe?
Do they make me feel a lot safer than if they were not in place at all? Yes.
If there were, so what you're saying is that the security that we have makes you feel safer than if there were absolutely no security at all? Because that's a pretty low standard.
For each security measure you take away, I think most people would feel less safe.
What do you think of that, Natan? Is it a direct correlation like that? The number of security measures you have increases safety in direct proportion. Perceived safety.
Perceived safety.
Well, it's hard to say because unless we have statistics that say how effective this is, like Lewis is saying, if you have something in place for a long time and you take it away, people will say, oh, they took it away, so now I can get away with that. So it really depends on how effective these techniques are and whether we're doing everything we can to find better ways, not just more.
Yeah. You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of... Hold on a second, Lewis. He's saying...
Hold on. We are getting more and more evidence that the TSA is not really working all that well.
We are getting that evidence. But what Natan is saying, which is at any time, once you add a security measure, if you ever take it away, people feel less safe and or it appears that the situation is it's something else people can now do. This is the same thing as that. Remember the color-coded terrorist threat level? Where once we got to elevated, we can never go down from elevated because that's when the terrorists would say, hey, they're not paying attention. We're no longer at elevated. Let's strike. Or people will say, oh, I don't feel safe. If the government doesn't think we're at elevated, then a lot of things could slip by. It's that same vicious circular conundrum.
Yeah, but so I don't think it's a matter of getting rid of security measures. I think it's just a matter of changing them.
Yeah, and we've talked about that extensively.
Right.
We won't get into it now. Do you think that, given that so many congressmen and other politicians have been very angry about pat-downs they received, do you think the reason they're not making a bigger stink about it is because we're in an election year and they don't want to draw what could be negative attention to themselves?
I'm sure some people, yeah, that would be the reason. At least in some people, some people. I mean, we can't definitively say that, but
we certainly can.
It's got to be in the back of a few of their minds.
After the regular show ends, there's a whole other show called The Bonus Show that we do, and it's only available to David Pakman Show members. Today on that particular show, we'll talk about yet another NFL player committing suicide. We'll also talk about a new drug for alcoholism. It was initially not developed to treat that, which is also a fascinating part of the story. And there were also some interesting booby traps found on a popular Utah hiking trail. We'll hear from Lewis whether he's ever set or fallen for any of those traps. Back after this.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.